What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. Now, I get a lot of comments in my comment section about people that say, what book should you read and where do I start and things like that. So what I did was I put a compilation of some videos of some black people that not only created books, but are recommending books that you should read. I mean, I've read some of these books. I have some of these books. I don't have all these books, and I'm going to get some of these books. But these are books that you need to gather, have in your library. We got to start making our small little family libraries with these important books, right? There are a lot of books that we need to gather as black people and hold safe, especially when in an environment where white people will burn these books because they don't want us to read these books. But here's the funny thing. They be burning books, but shit, we got ebooks. Shit's online now. You can burn the physical copy. We got the shit. I mean, we just download the motherfucker. I don't get what these people, like, right? Racism is still in analog, all right? We beyond digital. We about to go to quantum goddamn computing. These motherfuckers are still going tap, 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 racism, tap, 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 retarded. But anyway, I'm going to put this here. Enjoy this. Pause the video when you see the name of the book or whatnot so you can write it down and you can share it. One day, if I ever get rich, all right, one day, I got two plans. This is off topic, kind of, all right? But what I want to do, and I know I can do it, if I get rich or if YouTube blows up and I actually start making some money, I'm going to build a library smack fucking dab in this village, right? And I'm going to just, I'm gonna get as many books, because I don't know them all. There's so many books that we need to have as a encyclopedia of our history, as our stories, everything. And I'm going to gather as many of those books and I'm going to bring them here. Like a vault, like a safe vault where people can come and read. So these African people in this village and anybody else in Nigeria can come and they can read these books written by African Americans, written by other Africans and all that stuff. I also want to make a comic book store. I'm going to do that. I'm gonna go on all these TikTokers with their comic books and their graphic novels. I'm going to open up, like, that's the type of shit I'm on. That's the type of time I'm on, right? I'm going to open up a store or like a library, right? Because I don't know how to sell it. I'm going to do a library and then maybe they can be for sale. I got to figure all that shit out because I know I can buy it and then let people read it. But when you come to reselling other people's products, I don't know the process and all that stuff, right? But either way, I want a library where I can just all black comics, all black graphic novels, all black manga, all that shit, and just have a library so these kids around here can come and read. Because look, African children like to read. I brought Black Sands here. I bought the whole like big bundle, right? I bought Black Sands, a big ass box, and I brought it to Nigeria. Opened up the box, them kids, they was just, yeah, they was all into it. I was like, oh yeah, there's a market here. There is, look, if you are a comic book writer, if you're a manga writer, Africa is your market. We got a whole market of kids who want to see themselves as superheroes, as villains, as all kind of stories, all that shit. Same shit white folks do. We need to be doing, right? And our market is bigger than theirs. There's money to be made out here. You can create a great reputation for yourself. I'm telling you, you could do it big. You could do it big out here. And I want to do that one day. I got a lot of things I want to do, and I only got one life to do it so far, at least in this one, right? Until I come back, right? But I'm going to do as much of this shit as I can until I die, I swear. So one day I'm going to do that. So if I come into some money, I'm going to have a library. Maybe I'll make it one thing, a library with all our books and the comics, right? I can buy the, I got the land to do it right now. I can do it, shit. I can build that shit right here. I'm standing on my land right now. I can build this shit right here, but I'm going to build it in a place with people, a little further into the city. So people have access to expose African-American artists and African-American book writers and novels and writers to the African world so they can get exposed. That's what I want to do. But anyway, without further ado, enjoy this video. And these are highly recommended books. And let me know if you want me to do more stuff like that, because there's so many creators out there that I would like to just expose and just put it out there so we can know that they exist. Because that's one thing we have. We have a problem with exposure because we don't own the media. So we still got to use the medias that we're forced to use to expose ourselves. All right. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
If your timeline of African history starts with slavery, it's not history, it's propaganda. These are the history books that I use to educate myself on pre-colonial Africa. Number 1 is Born in Blackness. This book will destroy every Western timeline you've been taught. Before Europe even began to think of the Enlightenment, West Africa was shaping the modern world. Number 2 is Sundiata, an old epic of Mali. This is an oral epic, but it is foundational. It tells the story of Sundiata Keita, the founder of Mali. Think of it as West Africa's Iliad. It's history, myth, and legacy passed down for centuries. Number 3 is The Golden Rhinoceros. This book has short and accessible chapters on medieval African kingdoms you've probably never heard of. It's perfect if you want to map Africa before colonization. Number 4 is African Dominion by Michael Gomez. It's dense, but it's worth it. It focuses on West Africa between 800 and 1600. It covers Islam, empire, and kings. It's essentially the political history of real African states. Number 5 is When We Ruled by Robin Walker. This is a massive book and it took me a while to get through, but it is broken into sections that make it easily digestible. It covers everything from Nile Valley civilizations to West African mythology. You'll probably need to read it in chunks, but this is your long-term reference for African excellence. Number 6 isn't a book, but I thought I would add something for the visual learners. It's Great African Kingdoms, which is a BBC documentary. It's super old school, but it's a good visual supplement if you need something digestible on screen, and it's especially good if you're teaching kids. Let me know which one you're picking up first.
White ideology is fragile and it's based in feelings and biases. I'm revisiting and reading White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism by Robin DiAngelo. Robin DiAngelo, a white woman, spilling tea on white peopling about racism and generalizing. What is a common response that you will receive from a white person when the topic of discussion of racism is presented? Robin DiAngelo states that white people are basically actors reading from the same script when you're talking about racism. Same response, groomed throughout childhood, going into adulthood. She explains the why behind that with 2 things: the Western ideology of individualism, the lack of understanding socialization, and objectivity. Insert how she defines the ideology. We make sense of perceptions and experiences through our particular cultural lens. This lens is neither universal nor objective, and without it, a person could not function in human society. But exploring these cultural frameworks can be particularly challenging in Western culture, precisely because of 2 key Western ideologies: individualism and objectivity. Briefly, individualism holds that we are each unique and stand apart from others, even those within our social groups. Objectivity tells us that it is possible to be free of all bias. These ideologies make it very difficult for white people to explore the collective aspects of the white experience. They don't really have to deal with social context, because when you're talking about a race or a group of people, particularly, you're not talking about white people. That is actually still taboo. It's always focused on other socialized groups, not white people. She goes deeper into describing what individualism actually looks like. Insert the description. Individualism is a storyline that creates, communicates, reproduces, and reinforces the concept that each of us is a unique individual and that our group memberships, such as race, class, or gender, are irrelevant to our opportunities. Individualism claims that there are no intrinsic barriers to individual success, and that failure is not a consequence of social structures, but comes from individual character. According to the ideology of individualism, race is irrelevant. She ties this description in with an example of her going to a corporate space of 200, where 5 of those people were POC. Right after the presentation, there was a white male that came up to her from Italian descent and stated that racism does not apply to him because Italians were once discriminated against just like blacks, and they were considered to be black in America. That's kind of wild. She addresses this guy and she tells him that when Italians did come to America, they began to assimilate to white, and that he is looking and experiencing America through the lens of a white male. He wanted to talk about how his family was different, his experience was different, thus proving the point of individualism. One that she particularly emphasizes is the generalization, how generalizing is not common in the white community. And she has no problem with generalizing. What's so ironic about that? White folks generalize other social groups. So she does talk about the discomfort in addressing racism or talking about it, that white people are comfortable with the status quo of their racial group. And in order to make change, you have to handle that discomfort. DiAngelo spills more and more tea. And this book is so relevant because it's still happening today, these common responses of just fragileness and just fragility.
This book will make you cry. It will make you angry. It will make you proud. It will go through a roller coaster of emotion. This is Black Fortune, and this story is talking about the first African American slaves that changed their life completely around from slavery to becoming the first African American millionaires. This is such an inspiring book, such a great read, and it's on sale right now. If you are trying to grab it, I'm going to go ahead and link it below. Grab it before it sells out.
You will not find this book on many bestsellers lists. This is the most radical book that you've never heard of. If you've never heard of this man's writing, you're not alone, but maybe that's by design. My name is Jamin, and this is part of my Literature as Resistance series, where I recommend books that challenge the idea that reading should be apolitical. If you're looking for vulnerability or romantic reflection in this book, then you're probably in the wrong place. Sékou Touré's memoir is a document of his war against French colonialism and what he called the neo-colonial trap. This is the man that told Charles de Gaulle to his face that Guinea would rather be poor and free than rich and enslaved. And true to his word, Guinea became the only French colony to vote against continued association with France in the 1958 referendum. And within hours, France cut off all aid, stripped the country of infrastructure, and sabotaged everything from education to plumbing on their way out. But Touré did not flinch. What makes this memoir so radical is because it's not actually about him, it's about us. How freedom and independence is meaningless without cultural, linguistic, and economic liberation. I love this book because it merges Marxism, Pan-Africanism, and Islamic humanism in a way that's rarely seen today. Touré argues that on top of exploiting, colonialism deformed the very soul of the people, and recovery from that demanded far more than policy. It required linguistic, spiritual, and artistic decolonization. So why don't we read this book? Simple. It doesn't flatter the West, and it doesn't perform palatably, but most importantly, because it challenges post-colonial obedience. Western curricula are comfortable with Mandela's forgiveness and Gandhi's nonviolence, but Sékou Touré's refusal to soften the terms of freedom is much harder to digest. If you like this book, and I'm sure you will because you stayed this long, these are some other recommendations. You will not find this book on many bestsellers lists or academic syllabi, but it doesn't change the fact that it belongs there because it tells the truth about post-colonialism, that freedom without sovereignty is just a new kind of bondage.
Let's be clear about something. They do not wear hoods anymore. Some of the most dangerous white supremacists live in suburbs and coach little league teams. Do you ever look at somebody and think, nah, couldn't be them? That's the whole point. Hate doesn't always march down the street wearing a hood. Sometimes it wears a business suit, works a city job, and waves at the neighbors. This book, The Hate Next Door, was written by Madsen and Tani Browner, who actually sat down with real white supremacist members and had real conversations. Some of these people were dad, deacons, teachers. One of the guys was even recruiting off this app TikTok. That's how close all the hate that you be seeing posted on social media is to you. If you want to understand how white supremacy evolved, not disappeared, grab this book in the TikTok shop. Peace.
So it's February, and you know what that means, Black History Month. So here are some Black fantasy book recs, some I have read and some that are my highly anticipated reads. So first up is Wish of the Wicked. This is a fairy godmother retelling and a gorgeous edition by Satis Fiction. Next we have Cinderella is Dead. This is a dark Cinderella retelling. We have The Principle of Moments. This is a Black sci-fi fantasy novel. We have Lore of the Wilds, which this was a great read. This is also another Satis Fiction edition. And this is a Black cottagecore fantasy with fae and magical books. We also have Blood Scion. I have heard great things about this book. This book is inspired by Nigerian mythology. We have Faebound. This was a Black fantasy about elves and fae. This book was a 10 out of 10. Next up, we have A River of Royal Blood. This is a North African-inspired fantasy where two sisters must fight to win the crown. We have Skin of the Sea. This is about a Black mermaid. Next, we have Sing Me to Sleep. This is about a Black siren assassin. We also have House of Marianne. This is about a girl who has to hide her deadly magic. There's Blood Depths. This book has magical families, generational curses, and it is based in New Orleans. Next up, we have a few duologies. So first up is Raybearer and Redemptor. This is about someone that is cursed to kill the person she is sworn to protect. Now we have Blood Like Magic, Blood Like Fate. This is a dark urban fantasy following a witch. We also have This Poison Heart and This Wicked Faith, which is a sapphic duology following a girl and her connection to greenery and the gods. Going into a few series I recommend. So The Rage of Dragons and The Fires of Vengeance. Someone is borrowing the first book, but Black People and Dragons. One of my favorite series, Legendborn and Bloodmarked. The third book comes out in 2025. Next up, we have a few books that I don't have the physical copies of. So first up is Infinity Alchemist. This is about a Black alchemist going on a quest. This book comes out February 6th. Next up, we have Living Legend, which is about angels, demons, and magic. The second book in this series comes out in March, which is legendary. And lastly, we have So Let Them Burn, which is a Jamaican-inspired fantasy with dragons. And I already have my Satis Fiction edition pre-ordered, so I am so excited to read this. So happy Black History Month, and make sure you check out some Black fantasy books this month and every month.
Okay, so as promised, I have 5 more historical fiction book recs for those of you who are new to the genre and or just love historical fiction. Okay, so first starting off with The Yellow Wife. This is a book that, if you know, you know, it is very difficult to read. It took me a while to get through it. However, it is such a beautifully written book and one that I feel like is a necessary read. The Yellow Wife follows Phoebe, who is a mixed race woman. She's forced to leave the only home that she's ever known, and now she's spending most of her time with a jailer who owns a slave jail called Devil's Half Acre. She's doing what she can do to survive in this very violent environment. Writing left no crumbs. You feel everything along with the character while reading it. If you are new to the genre, maybe not start with this one, but if you do love historical fiction and you haven't read this one already, I 100% recommend it. Next up is another banger written by the same author as The Yellow Wife, and this one is called The House of Eve. This is a book that I finished, and immediately after reading, I knew it was one that was going to stick with me. It's set in 1950s Philadelphia and DC. Follows 2 teenage girls who unexpectedly fall pregnant and really are just trying to fight for control over their future. It has really rich discussions about class privilege, racism, and motherhood, and to me is a little bit more digestible than The Yellow Wife. Next up is Time's Undoing, and this is a book that will have you questioning how far you're willing to go to get the truth for your family. Time's Undoing follows a Black woman journalist who is trying to uncover the truth about the mysterious murder of her great-grandfather in the 1920s. I couldn't put this one down because I felt like I was uncovering the mystery alongside the main character. This is one that reveals so many shocking truths that feel a little too close to our reality. So next up is The Nickel Boys, and let me just start by saying I will never forgive the person who recommended this book to me because I am still recovering, like actively. This book follows 2 Black teenage boys who are forced to navigate this segregated reformatory school in Florida during Jim Crow. You already know where this is going. The writing was beautiful and the ending completely shocked me, so add this one to your list if you haven't read it already. Last but not least, we have This Cursed House. Essentially, it follows a Black woman who inherits a mansion that is haunted from a family she didn't even really know exists, and she ends up uncovering some very dark secrets about this house. Now, sis was essentially playing Ghostbusters for this family that did not care for her, and she was better than me because I would have left them exactly where they were. But I love how this book had very rich discussions about forgiveness, grief, colorism, and it has so much family drama that I was sad. Definitely recommend this one as well.
Happy Black History Month. We read Black books every month. Here's a list of Black books by Black authors that you should read for this Black month. I couldn't have a list of Black authors and not have my favorite writer ever, Octavia E. Butler, on the list. Octavia Butler was one of the greatest sci-fi writers to ever walk this earth. The way she talks about transformation, grief, the state of the world, anything Octavia Butler writes is going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. Girl Child by Marina Kaye. This is a coming-of-age literary fiction novel that talks a lot about guerrilla culture. It talks a lot about family. It talks a lot about accepting yourself. This is just a very powerful and educational book that I highly recommend. The Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I love the Broken Earth trilogy, y'all. I read it back in 2023 and it's still my favorite fantasy trilogy ever. It got me back into reading fantasy. It got me back into reading period. If you want a fantasy book with intricate world building, a crazy magic system, and prose that's just out of this world, this book is very unique. It was written in a second person point of view. If you haven't heard of 5th season at this point, you're missing out on something legendary. Richard Wright, The Man Who Lived Underground. This is a book that was recently unearthed after 40 years being unpublished and released in, I think, 2020, 2019 or something like that. This is about a man who was falsely accused of a crime and who's tortured until he's forced to admit to something that he didn't even do. This book is very prolific, y'all, but my favorite part had to be after the story, when Richard Wright talks about his grandmother and how she is the reason why he even wrote this book. Masquerade by Sangoyomi. This is a mythological retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth, told under Yoruba mythology. If you like mythology, I'm sure you'll like this book. The Epic in Africa by Isidora Ipekwo. I probably said his name wrong, but y'all gotta read this book. This book analyzes ancient African epic tales which were thought to never exist in Africa, and just proving that yes, there were epics in Africa as well. Out There Screaming, edited by Jordan Peele. This is a collection of short horror stories written by Black authors. So if you're a horror fan and you haven't read this, you need to pick it up. Immortal Dark by Tigis Germa. This is a dark academia black vampire book. I haven't read this, but it's black vampires. I'm gonna read it eventually. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. This is one of the greatest books I've ever read, y'all. I don't even think I should have to say a lot about this book. Maya Angelou is a legendary woman. This book has some of the best writing I've ever read. The Black Panther Party, a graphic novel history. This book is exactly how it sounds. It's the history of the Black Panther Party presented in a very accessible way. Highly recommend this book. This book taught me a lot about black history, and it taught me a lot about black legends. Some that we remember, but a whole lot more that we've forgotten. Ain't no way y'all ain't heard about Legend Born by Tracy Dion. This book has 2 books in the series out right now, but the 3rd book is coming out next month in March. I thought this was a trilogy, y'all, but no. This is a quartet. I've heard great things about this one. I actually haven't read this one yet, but I definitely plan on reading it this year. All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. This is about a black sheriff in a town that has a whole lot of crazy stuff going on, basically. S.A. Cosby is an amazing writer. They call him the new king of thriller. Heard great things about this book, and I'm sure y'all are gonna love it. The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Not gonna talk too much about it because I think everybody knows about this at this point. The Dead Are Rising, The Life of Malcolm X. This is a biography of Malcolm X that you should probably read after the Autobiography of Malcolm X. This one goes a lot more in depth on his life, on his parents, on his entire family. Highly recommend this book, especially if you've already read the Autobiography of Malcolm X. This one fills in a lot of blanks and teaches you a whole lot more new things. Children of Blood and Bone. I haven't read this one, y'all, but I've heard great things about it, and it has a movie adaptation coming out soon. Black sci-fi short stories. This one is exactly how it sounds. It's a collection of black sci-fi stories written by black authors. This book does have very small font though, y'all. Angela Davis, Freedom is a Constant Struggle. This is another one that I haven't read before, but Angela Davis is a prolific woman. She's done a lot for the black community, for the black struggle. I need to read this book, and y'all need to read it too. The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee. I haven't read this one yet, but this is an award-winning book. This is about a man who infiltrates the CIA, all the hypocrisy he sees, and just his reaction to the universal oppression of black people. Heard great things about this book. This is actually some of my favorite people's favorite book ever. Can't wait to read this one. I hope y'all can get into it. Zora Neale Hurston, Tell My Horse. This is about the trip that she took to Jamaica and Haiti, and basically everything that she experienced, the hoodoo, the voodoo. Sounded very intriguing, and it's by Zora Neale Hurston, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. And finally, anything by James Baldwin. I know that y'all know about James Baldwin. Native Son, If Beale Street Could Talk, Fire Next Time. I don't think he has a book that isn't considered a classic. I put James Baldwin last because I'm pretty sure every Black History Month list is gonna have James Baldwin on it. Legendary writer. I need to read some more of his works, and y'all do too.
All right, so boom. Publishers claim Book Talk sells books, right? But I'm a black writer, so of course they don't apply to me totally. And I'm out of cutesy ideas today for a post, so here is my post. Hi, I'm Nia. I wrote a book. It's called Out of Body. It releases February 6th in just under 2 weeks. It's about 2 black teens. Basically, Megan meets a new friend at a coffee shop who pops up like magic. And 3 months later, they're celebrating their friendiversary, and a bonding experience turns into a literal waking nightmare when Megan wakes up literally in Elsie's body, and Elsie is gaslighting her like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been you, and you've always been me. And so then Megan goes on this wild ride to figure out what the hell is happening, why her best friend betrayed her, and she has to race against a ticking clock to get her body back or die trying. It's Get Out meets Freaky Friday, and I promise it'll take you on a wild thriller ride if that's your thing.
Paging or channeling Clarence A. Haynes. Sir, you did your good one with this book. Okay. I went into this just like, okay, I don't know what the ghost got to do, what happened to Gwendolyn. By the end of it, I knew everything I needed to know about these ghosts and Gwendolyn, okay? This book was good. It was fast-paced. It had some LGBTQAI plus representation. It had some spice. It had some drama, a little mystery, a thriller. It even had some components of like unresolved family trauma and drama. And I was just like, all of that in a book? Yes, sign me up. I had to put on my crystals and stuff, okay? I almost set up an altar in my bedroom to figure out if I need to connect with some people to resolve some things, you know? Like, now, there one person in the other chapter that had the stuff with the steamy windows. I ain't doing it. That's too far for me. But I enjoy reading it. I sure did, yeah. But if you have read the book, The Ghost of Gwendolyn Montgomery by Clarence A. Haynes, you can join A1 Book Club on Saturday, July 26th at 7 p.m. He will be there, and we will be talking about his debut solo novel, The Ghost of Gwendolyn Montgomery. Okay, so this is your invitation to get the book. Today, you got time, okay? You got a couple of weeks to read the book. It's a short read. Well, it's not short. It's just a fast-paced read. Once you start, you're not going to want to stop because each chapter ends with just like, oh, so this, oh, and this, oh, it's like, oh, one of those things. Yeah, so get the book. Meet us July 26th at 7 p.m. Join our Facebook page or follow us on Instagram and TikTok and get the information you need. Okay, bye.
Bro, you heard about the new book club who exclusively reads authors who fall under the Black diaspora?
Oh, you said the diaspora. So you mean African American?
Yup.
Afro-Indigenous?
You're
African?
You already know.
Afro-Latin too?
Por supuesto. If that author is black, that spine is getting cracked. I'm talking about books, you freaks. That's a crazy thing to say with no context. Not gonna hold you, but what's the name of this book club? Where can I find them? What are they reading? I'm so glad you asked that question. They are called the Melanin is Magic Book Club. They meet on Fable, and they'll read 2 books a month starting November 1st. And as for the books they're gonna be reading, bam! They're gonna be reading Fledgling by Octavia Butler and Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I'm gonna go join that right now. Quickly, my boy, because they're gonna be voting on December's book pretty soon. So if you want in on that action, you gotta lock in.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night. My name is Fonta Bala. I'm the proud author for All the Things I Never Got to Say, and I'm also the founder of Ratty Reach. And I just want to come on here and let y'all know that my book is currently back in stock, right? It's back in stock. I have sold over 2,000 copies of this book, and I have over 150 positive reviews. So if you're looking for your next book to read, I suggest you read this poetry book. And the age group is 8th grade and up. Again, adults could read it. Middle schoolers, 8th grade. If you're mature, 7th graders maybe. High school is great. And it's really a universal book. I talk about a lot of things I went through growing up, and I give the readers a piece of me, because I believe that vulnerability is a really important tool to have as a writer, especially as a poet. So again, I start this book with saying, this is my story, but if anywhere it resonates with yours, it become ours, and I truly do mean that. So again, you can cop this book. It's available on the TikTok shop. And let me know if you already had it. What are your favorite poems from the book? If there's any poems you want to hear me read out loud. I love you. I hope you have a good day.
Here's some book recommendations across genres written by Black authors that I recommend you read, not just during Black History Month. First, for my people who enjoy sci-fi and fantasy, I have Dawn by Octavia E. Butler and The Deep by River Solomon. Dawn is actually book 1 of the Lilith trilogy. We follow Lilith, who has woken up on a spaceship after a catastrophic event happened on Earth. So many years in the future, finds out that she has been taken by this alien race who now need her to restore Earth. I just enjoyed this book so much so that I don't even want to finish the trilogy. Just enjoyed how this book examined sex, race, power, what it means to be a human, all the things. I mean, honestly, I can go on and on. It's so good. So next we have The Deep. River Solomon is just one of the best authors in the Afrofuturism genre, in my opinion. This book examines the concept or the idea of what if the pregnant African women who were thrown overboard off of slave ships created this underworld, which kind of led to the species of mermaids. Having experienced this traumatic past, everyone has forgotten except for one person, who is the historian, who we follow in this book. Having to carry all this for her people is just so much. She flees to the surface and starts to learn more about her people and the people who are still on the surface. I loved how this book looked at intergenerational trauma, colonialism, race. Is a short but powerful book that I definitely recommend. For those of you who enjoy short story collections, I have Stories from the Tenants Downstairs. These interconnected short stories all focus around individuals who live within this building. So through these stories, we get to look at the different struggles, but also the different joys of the individuals living within this building, and I cannot recommend it enough. I really enjoyed it. If you enjoy short, interconnected stories, definitely pick this one up. For the people who enjoy horror but don't necessarily like all the gory stuff, I have When the Reckoning Comes. So in this book, we follow a woman who is going back to her hometown because one of her friends is getting married. And her friend is getting married on this plantation in the South. We start to learn more about this plantation and its dark past. It just looks at how choosing to not know about our past is haunting in itself. I think if you enjoy books like Lakewood, you'll definitely enjoy this one as well. Those of you who enjoy romance or contemporary books, I recommend Before I Let Go. Not even someone who would normally gravitate towards romance books, but this one, I just loved every moment of it. This is a second chance romance where we follow two individuals who, although loved each other, had so many things that happened that just tore their marriage apart. Through their pain, grief, and just overall challenges in life, they're trying to figure out a way to coexist. I think the reason why I enjoyed this book so much is because the characters felt real and they were dealing with real life problems. All the characters were multi-layered and they just felt real, and I really enjoyed that in books that I read. With this book, I had some tears, I had some laughs, I had some smiles. I really just thought this book was beautifully written. Looking for a good YA book, we have We Deserve Monuments. For this book, we follow a young girl who is moving from DC to the South with her mother to care for her maternal grandmother. She's starting to adjust and try to understand this very different area than what she grew up in. She starts to want to discover and learn more about the dynamic between her grandmother and her mother. Their relationship is a bit strained. As she's learning more about her mother's relationship with her grandmother, she meets a girl who she starts to want to learn more about. She really likes. This is a great coming of age story that looks at multi-generational relationships and romance. A lot of myself in the main character as a young girl, and I definitely recommend this one as well.
Wait. Before you go, for all my subscribers and philanthropists out there, I'm building a solar power community water bowl system in Nigeria. It's going to cost between $5,000 and $6,000. I'm trying to raise money. If you want to participate and help me build this solar power water system, please donate to the Cash App and put solar water in the notes. Solar water in the notes. I'll put PayPal, Stripe, and Zelle. Anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.